2023, there have already been $25 billion events in the US alone. And in total, this is just the dollar amount. We can't imagine what the disruption to lives and livelihoods is in addition to the economic impacts. But it's $73 billion this year and this year alone, and just in the US. And I think to me that has made all of my time over recent years, where I was chairing the Environment Agency until September last year. I'm doing a project for the Mayor of London at the moment looking at, is London ready for climate shocks? That economic assessment, that economic reality tells me that this is something that we all need to be paying far more attention to. So this is something that I believe we all need to be far more alive to, and understand that where we are looking at interventions for our net zero, for our nature-related agendas, that we also need to be looking at what are those low-hanging fruit, those quick wins, where we can also be looking at interventions from an adaptation and resilience perspective. And I know, given your theme this year with a strong focus, Anusha, as the latest ICE president, you're focusing on nature. I do think nature can play a massive role for the different climate hazards that we're talking about, but also for creating a better place for the citizens of this country, this city, and also around the world.
The sort of end message I'll start with, which is carbon's not a conversation for the technical people, it's a leadership conversation. It should be in our boardrooms, it should be in our exec team conversations at all times. And what you'll see is how you move carbon into the centre of a programme, and a programme at scale.
You have probably heard about the climate emergency. And maybe you've been wondering what it is and why it should matter to you as an engineer. You may also be wondering why it's called an emergency when we've been talking about it for years. Make no mistake, it is an emergency. That is why in 2016, in Paris, the world committed to transitioning to net zero carbon. This means reducing greenhouse gas emissions and removing the residual to a level that is compatible with an average global temperature rise of ideally no more than 1.5 degrees. But as civil engineers, we have the skills and tools to solve the problems caused by a carbon-profligate built environment, and to keep the world within a safe operating space. The buildings and infrastructure that engineers design and construct are responsible for around 80% of the carbon footprint of developed countries like the UK. With the built environment having such a big impact on greenhouse gas emissions, it is clear that we will only succeed in achieving our decarbonisation goals by decarbonising our built environment. Anything we put into the built environment from now on must support the transition to net zero.
And can I just bring you back to the original question, which was how can AI help us in actual infrastructure delivery? I have used AI and ChatGPT as a journalist. I know its limitations, etc. I also know that the infrastructure sector makes very good use of AI in terms of checking BIM models, in terms of analysing contracts, the textual-based stuff there. What I'm struggling with here is what is the solution, what is the problem that the solution is actually setting out to find within government? Because I wasn't aware that one of the big issues around infrastructure delivery was the pressure and time on ministers reading the stuff in their red boxes. I mean, there's a lot of issues around the problems with ministers and the decisions they made, but I wasn't aware it was linked to the amount of time they spent reading the stuff in their boxes. So what is the problem that your solution is going to solve that will help infrastructure delivery? Because that's what the exam question was.
So a cheeky answer might be that if they're spending less time on their red box and they've got more time to consider other things, then you will have much more of their time to be able to convince them of stuff and for them to be able to, you know, take on board what you're trying to say. So yeah, why not? The next one is that is purely an example of how you can use it and a way that we have implemented it. We're not doing any projects using infrastructure data yet, but there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't.
But all of those things, all of those enormous things, all in their own right, have to come together somehow. They can't exist in isolation, and this is what TIP does, isn't it? This is what TIP does in its beautiful system of systems thinking. It brings it all together, but it just doesn't make it easy. And this is why we have such a strong focus on action. What is it we're going to do? Because we're going to take the next step, and then the next one, and then the next one. And that's how we get there. That's how we get to TIP BAU 2025, which is why, huge thank you to all the facilitators of the workshops. We will be pulling together everything that was agreed, and we will be checking in and reporting back at TIP Live 4, February 27th in Manchester, part of the interchange event, the wider interchange event, 27th, 28th of February. So get booking your tickets now. They're going to be the hottest topic tickets of the year. And so I think the other thing I did just want to say, the sort of beautiful comments, I think Matt, thank you, if he's still here, described it so well. And I just jotted down a few of the things that he said. He said, you know, we can't do it alone. Isn't that true? Didn't that come through the whole day? You know, when we were talking about, I think it particularly came through very loudly in the conversation Nusha hosted with Jason, Mark and Emma, that sort of, just not hanging the join up, you know, it's got to be so much more than where we're at the moment. And he said, we're just thinking differently and doing it better. I think that, I might put that on the bottom of my email now, just think differently and do it better. And he said it's hard, bloody is, it's really hard. So again, you know, and then it's back to that, how do we look after each other? Because this is hard. And believe me and my team and all of us, you know, are going to be working hard to get to TIP BAU 2025. It won't be easy. We will have dips. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit that now, you know, just sort of, oof, this is hard. But with an event like this, with the people in the room, with Anusha Shah, our president of the Institution of Civil Engineers, and her presidential theme being nature and people positive, we have every chance of success. And if we don't seize the opportunity now, I don't see how it's ever going to happen. So it's happening now, it's on our watch, and we, this community, make it happen.